Hello strangers and friends, my name is Grace and welcome to vlog 6 of Sometimes I Make Things, a podcast about the making of things, primarily knitting, but we keep an open mind around here. Today is April 1st, 2022, and I thought it would be fun to do a first quarter yarn haul. I had a goal of spending only about max $360 this year on yarn, $365, dollar a day for yarn. And I've almost fully blown that by now. I haven't done the math yet, but I have written down all the money I've spent. So by the end of this video, we'll talk about how much that is and what I have left for the rest of the year. I feel like I can justify it because I have plans for all the yarn that I've bought. And I don't think I would be able to actually knit all this yarn in the year already, but you know what, we'll see. I just want to show off what I got because I love yarn. I love sharing yarn. So buckle up. I think that the best way to do this is to go month by month and what I bought each month, and you can see my decline into madness in the first 3 months of the year. So January did pretty good. I was knitting this sweater. I did a whole vlog about it, vlog 4, knitting this sweater, and I needed one more skein of Midnatsol, which is like the stranding yarn, I guess, kind of like my mohair or alpaca. Anyway, I needed an extra ball to finish this sweater. I finished this sweater. I love this sweater. I think it's probably my most worn sweater already, and it's the sweater I finished most recently. So I think that this is probably the style of sweater I'm going to pursue more, because I know that I'm going to wear pullovers a lot and just like casual sweaters. More on that theme later. So January got that. On the same visit, this was to the knitting loft, by the way, my sister and I went. I also got one skein of Knitting for Olive Merino. The plan is to knit this with a skein I got for my birthday last year into a shawl. I did talk about this previously, so I won't get into it, but she has not been made into a shawl yet, so pending. It was a bit of a red theme that day shopping at the knitting loft because I also got 2 skeins of Cascade 220 Heathers, which I wound up in my last vlog as the intro, and I have used them. This is the Cooler Side of Warm cowl that I've knit from Espace Tricot, free pattern, and literally all that's left, like this has been blocked, knit, everything. I just need to sew in my ends, which I feel like is the eternal trial of knitters and crocheters, is sewing in the ends. Anyway, I have this much of a skein left over, I think like 2/3 of the second skein, so I'm not sure, like this could maybe be a hat, it could maybe be a pair of mittens or fingerless gloves, I don't know yet, but I'm just gonna hold on to it for now, because who knows, maybe I'll worsted sweaters in my future and this would be nice incorporated into that. But of the January yarn that I purchased myself, I did get gifted some yarn, but of the yarn that I bought for myself, I have used up most of it, and one of them there's still a plan in place for. So January, pretty solid, doing all right. Moving into February, also did pretty good. I only bought one skein, but I'm a little embarrassed about the skein that I bought. So this was also bought from the Knitting Loft. I bought it online, I bought it on sale. I bought it not sober, alone on Valentine's Day. Yeah, that was my single shopping moment. Anyway, so this is a skein of worsted by Feisty Fibers. The colorway is called Spite. Yes, I bought a yarn called Spite on Valentine's Day. There's just a whole mood around that. But regardless, this is a color that I've actually been interested in having since I think April 2019. When I went to the Toronto Knitter or Toronto Fiber Frolic with my cousin, and I almost bought Spite then, but I didn't, and then seeing it on sale at the Knitting Loft on Valentine's Day, when I was inebriated, I was like, it's time. Shipping was great from the Knitting Loft. I'm really excited about the skein. I'm thinking I'm gonna make it into a hat, like the 1898 hat that I made for my dad for Christmas. Basic hat with ear flaps. I feel like this would be really fun. I like the idea of it being kind of like a rusted helm with iron and that being a winter hat. But the winter season is coming to an end, is over, in Ontario now that it's April 1st. So I don't know if I'm going to get to this this season. Oh, she's coming undone. Me too, sis. But yeah, pending a nice hat to keep me head warm. That's the plan. Anyway, that was my moment of weakness in February. March. So March has been a really good month for me. I had a lot of fun. I went to visit a friend in Cambridge and also visited some friends in Ottawa. Of course, being mindful of COVID-19 restrictions. Right now in Ontario, mask mandates are gone, which feels a little bit weird to go out in public and just see people's faces again. So I haven't really been going out in public. Yes, I have traveled to other towns, but mostly just staying with friends, maybe going out for dinner, and going yarn shopping, because I can't resist. About the middle of the month, I went to Cambridge, and there is a factory discount store in the Tri-City area that's called Len's Mills. So I went to Len's Mills and I bought a bunch of yarn at the end of my lovely visit with my friend. So I got this lovely skein of Lion brand sock yarn. This colorway is called Lemon Drop, and it was just under $8, and it's gonna be a really cute pair of stripy socks. I feel like a strong urge that like sock knitting will probably be my theme for the summer, and I am just really stoked about colorful socks. I think I'm gonna really lean into sock knitting this year. So first purchase was an impulse purchase, but I'm gonna make a pair of socks with it. That's pretty reasonable. After that, I picked up Bernat Softy Cotton, 2 skeins in black. I really want to knit James and Watt's Look at My Holes raglan. I think it'll be a really fun summer piece to put on. I think that there's a lot of potential for pairing it with things, and it's just a very intriguing aesthetic, as well as I'm interested in how something like that would be knit. So I haven't bought the pattern yet, but I've wanted to pretty much since I've seen it. So I think I will this summer, and I think a black cotton is a very sensible one. So again, both these skeins were also under $8 each, so $16 getting a fun sweater for the summer or shirt for the summer. I think that's pretty reasonable, and I haven't used this yarn before. I haven't used a lot of plant yarns, but it's just very soft. It's, let's see here, 60% cotton, 40% acrylic. And I've been thinking about trying out acrylic a little bit more. Not that I have anything against acrylic, I'm just used to using wool, and I understand wool, and I know what to expect from wool. Whereas I don't have as much experience knitting with acrylic, so I don't really know what acrylic does. How it stretches over time, how it wears, washing it, blocking it. I'm just not familiar with the fiber itself. So I do have an interest in trying a little bit more acrylic, because I do knit sweaters usually that are a 2X in size. And this sweater over here cost me like $130 or so to knit, which I love this sweater. I enjoyed making it. I wear it a bunch, but that is a lot of money to spend on one piece. Especially, you know, I can be nervous about damaging a sweater that costs that much. So I kind of want some more sweaters that I feel more comfortable living in, because the cost to replace them or to fix them if I need to buy another skein is low. So that's the aesthetic as well, which brings me into the other skeins that I bought at Len's Mills, which is a sweater quantity of Lion Brand's Touch of Alpaca. These skeins were under $7 each, and I got 5 of them. Let's see if I can pull them out of the bag here. Again, this links into knitting sweaters that I'm going to wear more, but also don't cost so much to make. I really want to make the Bay Pullover by Jacqueline Cieslak. I've already purchased this pattern, and I was thinking about making it in Malabrigo. It is a worsted weight sweater, but Malabrigo is about $20 a skein or more here in Canada, so that adds up to, again, it would be another $120 sweater, which I think would be an incredibly beautiful sweater done in Malabrigo. But just the style of sweater it is, I kind of want it to be this comfy, go-to, wear anywhere, not scared to sit next to a campfire wearing it sweater. So I'm gonna give out this a try. So 5 skeins for $7-ish each works out to about $35 for a sweater. And of course, my hours of time I'll put into knitting it. But I have a lot of hope for this. And if I end up not liking the material, the fabric, if it doesn't wear well, that would be disappointing. but at least I'm not gonna feel like I spent a whole bunch of money on it and it didn't wear well. So again, if you have any recommendations of particular more budget-friendly yarns that you really like using, workhorse yarns, let me know, because while I do love wool, and I think I'm always gonna have wool being my favorite fiber to knit with, I do want to have some versatility, especially when you think about knitting things for other people or for babies or for people that have a wool allergy. All things to consider. I'm hoping that this is enough yarn to knit a sweater. I feel like it should be. I'm kind of just under the wire with it. All right, there. Aesthetic, my stacks of yarn. So that was everything that I got from Lens Mills. I feel pretty good about it. Like, it's all stuff that I'm pretty sure I'll use, and you know, I'm experimenting a little bit. I'm excited about all this yarn. So, continuing the march. So this was my Cambridge trip, and then about a week or two later I went to Ottawa, and there's a fancy yarn store in Ottawa called Wabi Sabi, and I knew that I wanted to go there and I'd probably spend money there. So I wanted to, you know, hold back as much as possible from buying more yarn until going to Wabi Sabi, because I didn't know what I would find there. But then I made the error of casually walking into a yarn store on an adventure day with a friend. And I was with my friend Natasha, and I look at Natasha and I said, Natasha, I want to go in and look at the yarn because it brings me joy, but do not let me buy anything. I was like, chaperone me, please. I have this trip coming up. I want to save money for it. Help me out. And she's like, I got you. We go into the store, and the first thing Natasha does is pick up a skein of yarn, this beautiful black and purple skein, hold it up to her head and like, look, it matches my hair. And she had this look in her eye, and I was like, oh no, oh no. I chose the wrong chaperone, because Natasha loves color and she is a collector of things. And the rest of our time in the yarn store, it was a very nice time. Village Lane Yarn Cafe. We were looking at the colors. They have a really great selection of Canadian yarn as well as others. It's a really nice store. I highly recommend it if you're in the Pickering area. And Natasha laid her eyes on this skein, which I obviously now have in my possession. And she had such a look in her eyes that was desperate for this skein. She doesn't know how to knit. She doesn't know how to crochet. She could definitely learn, but this is like a $35 ball of yarn. Anyway, she loved it so much. She wanted it so badly. And, you know, I had seen several skeins that I wanted while I was there, but I held back. I was like, ooh, that would make a beautiful shawl. This would be a beautiful pair of socks. This would be a really cute sweater. But I held back. I didn't do it. But when I saw my lovely friend, who I love very much, wanted a skein of yarn so badly, like I have wanted a skein of yarn very badly in my days, and her birthday is this summer, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this skein of yarn. I will knit you a hat. You are obsessed with this color. It's beautiful. This is Malabrigo Rasta. The colorway is Arakita, and I could tell she loved it, and if I made her something out of this, she was gonna cherish it. And I wanted to try knitting with Rasta anyway. I've never knit something with bulky yarn like this. And I think it'd be really pleasurable to knit with. So I was like, you know what? I'll buy it for you. So this is going to be on my needles probably relatively soon. Natasha and I were talking back and forth. I want to make sure that I knit her something she'll really like. Right now we're leaning for like a frog bucket hat, which I think will be really cute and fun to make. And yeah, I'll go from there. So pro tip, if you're gonna have a friend chaperone you in your yarn store, make sure that that friend does not have an affinity for objects. Because you might end up buying yarn for them because they fall in love with it. Got the skein of yarn, funny story attached to it, no regrets. I'm excited about it, but this was the accident child. Moving on. We go to Ottawa. I had a wonderful time in Ottawa. I met up with my friend Corinne there, who is Swish and Knit on Instagram. Follow Corinne. And Corinne does a lot of spinning as well as knitting, and I had a lovely time staying with her. Amazing host, 10 out of 10 recommend. If Corinne invites you over, take her up on it, because she will feed you so much and make you feel so at home. Thank you, Corinne. And then we went out to a yarn store together, which was a lot of fun to go to a yarn store with someone who also is very into the fiber scene. Wabi Sabi, great store. They had a lot of spinning fiber there. They had a great selection of yarn and color, a lot of rustic yarn, which I actually really appreciated because I am interested in doing some more color work with rustic yarns, and I feel like Wabi Sabi would be a good place to order from for that. We did a lot of looking around, and I wasn't sure if there was something, like I was kind of feeling, okay, maybe I'm not going to get anything, like this stuff is nice, but I could potentially order it elsewhere. I don't have any burning need for anything. I clearly have a lot of yarn. You know, this is just the yarn I've gotten in the last 3 months. I also have other stash yarn. But then pretty much right towards the end, I fell in love with a couple skeins and of course ended up getting some. So the first 2 skeins that really stood out to me were these beautiful cascade fingering skeins actually, which I just find a little bit funny because this is a yarn you could probably get anywhere, order online very easily, but I had never seen this line of cascade before, and I really like it. And this blue in particular, blue purple, really stood out to me, and it looks so beautiful paired with this lovely oat color. And I really want to make a pair of fingerless mittens out of this. I am blanking on the name of the designer and the pattern. I will put it down below. But there's these beautiful fingerless mitts that have cranes on them that I think this would look really, really pretty on, especially as like a spring pair of mittens. I don't know if I'm going to get to it anytime soon, but I think this is just such a beautiful pairing, and I kept coming back to it. Like I think 3 times I picked up these skeins and held them, and eventually Corinne was like, oh, okay, I have to encourage you to get these because you love them so much. So I'm really excited about these. They weren't too expensive, and I think I'm gonna have a good time knitting them. This yarn is actually very similar to Knit Pick's palette, I would say. So if you like Knit Pick palette, then Cascade 220 fingering might be a good option for you as well. But I'm stoked about these, honestly. Like I even love just looking at them. This was a true love yarn purchase. And on top of that, right towards the end, I realized I had walked past a box of sock yarn, like one of those box units, and there was yarn there that I had been wondering about for a while, and it was perfect. So I got these 2 skeins of Lang yarns. Jawal. Jawal was the first yarn I ever used to knit a pair of socks, and I love those socks. They're my favorite socks. And Canadian Agnesty on Instagram knit a pair of socks using this color combo, and I'm obsessed with it. Every time she was posting on her stories about it, I was like, I want this color combo, and now I have it. I actually messaged her while I was in the store, and she was kind enough to reply and give me a little advice on how much to get. I ended up just getting 1 skein of each. I'm fine if they end up being shorty socks, but I just think this is such a funky, fun color combo, and I really like yellow, and I really have a secret love of neon colors. So I just love how day glow this is. I'm so excited about it. This is gonna be such a fun pair of socks. So I'm thinking like cuff, heels, toes, main body, maybe doing some striping in there. Love it so much. And I really also love this as a yarn combo. Like I kind of want a colorwork sweater in this situation. These yarns I don't think would necessarily pair very well together just from like a fiber construction point of view, but I love this. So stay tuned for that sweater maybe appearing some point in the future, that color combo. So yeah, that's this is all the yarn that I have bought in the year of our Lord 2022. I was kind of planning on trying to not buy yarn this year or to limit how much yarn I bought this year, but the heart wants what it wants, and Grace gets what she wants. Coming back to you, did the math, equal to about $250 that I've spent on yarn this year, which is a sum. I know that there are folks who can easily spend more money than that in one go, multiple times a year. No shade on anyone who's spending money on yarn, as long as it's healthily within your budget, of course. Which I feel like this does fall in for me. I don't have a lot of disposable income, but I also don't spend money on other things than essentials of living, rent, gas, etc., and yarn. So, you know, I found a way to work it out into my life, and it works for me, and it makes me happy, so I feel good about that. But I feel like, you know, yarn is something that collecting it is its own hobby from using the yarn. We know this. Some people have an affinity for buying lots of yarn. Some people buy only small quantities at a time, they use it right away, then they buy for their next project. I feel like there's truly no wrong way to go about doing it. At the end of the day, I feel like spend your money on things that make you happy, that you're gonna enjoy and you feel good about. And as long as that's the case, good. And as long as it's not getting to a point where you're having issues paying your electricity bill, you do you, feel no shame. But I also think it's good to be honest about, are you gonna use it? Are you acquiring just for the sake of acquiring? Do you have a plan for this yarn? I don't think I could ever be someone who has a full wall unit behind me full of yarn, because having that much yarn and knowing that I'm not gonna be able to use it or have a plan for every piece of it or most of it would stress me out. So while I'm acquiring plenty, I also have a vision and a plan, and this is what works for me, and this is what I'm happy with. So we'll see in the second quarter if I have spent another $250 on yarn or if I have managed to contain myself. But my overarching point is, regardless, I'm not going to be ashamed of it. Whether I don't spend the money or if I do spend the money, I came here to have a good time, and I'm having it, and you should too. Anyway, to close out this vlog check-in chat about yarn, I'm going to quickly review the whips that I have in the works right now, keep you up to date on what I'm up to. First thing, I think I mentioned in the last video, let's get myself organized here. Got 3 whips currently, which is a bit more than I'd like to have. I think I want to be a monogamous knitter, but I'm having trouble with it. Anyway, this is my modified outline tee, and it's getting kind of mostly done right now, but I'm taking a little break from it because I have another project that I just started recently that I want to focus on. But it's pretty cropped. We're just gonna work the back straight up. I have 1 skein of yarn left. This is 3 of them used. So all that's left is to knit at the back, connect them. I think I'm gonna knit a little bit of a ribbing around the edges here to make it more of a t-shirt aesthetic, but we're gonna see when it's more put together if I wanna do that. And of course, doing the drop stitches to make that wonderful outline effect. It is gonna be pretty cropped, but I think this will be a nice one to wear just at the beach to cover up a little bit more, or with high-waisted skirts in the summer. We'll see, but I'm enjoying the process. It's nice to knit with a yarn that's very different from what I normally use. This is Lindy Chain by Knit Picks, and it feels very different from wool. I talked about this last episode, but I'm continuing to enjoy it and just taking a little break from it now. It's not going to be warm enough to wear this anytime soon, so I feel good about putting it in a little bit of a hibernation mode, just because it's not as urgent for me to finish it as some other things are. My sock whip is a little bit chaotic, I will admit. This is sock number 2. Haven't picked this up in a few weeks. I love it. I really do want to finish them. I've just been distracted by other projects, but I am excited to have these done. I think they're so cute and so fun. And I think these are good spring socks, summer socks, especially because they're shorties. The first socks, that was sock number 2. I've just got to the point where I'm starting on the toe, and so close to being done. I kind of went in chose a weird way to knit these, where I got tired of this sock part way through, so then I decided to cast on the second one. Now I just have 2 in a state. Yeah, getting ready on the toe on this. I'm doing a little bit more color work around the toe area, similar to what I did around the arches, and I'm going to do the toe in the same green as the heel, just because it is the most scrap that I have left over. And I absolutely love these scrappy socks. I think they're so fun. I'm definitely going to be doing more scrappy mini sock creations. But yeah, this one also hibernating a little bit, but I plan to get back to that shortly. I might try to finish these shorty socks before going back to the outline tank, just because I don't like having socks dangling in the wind unfinished in a weird way like that. The final whip that I want to mention is, I'm kind of playing another sweater game with myself of, can I finish this by a tight deadline? This sweater was 3 weeks. This sweater is 2.5, which I don't know if I'm going to finish it in time, but it is a smaller sweater, so maybe. This is my whip for Jessie May's Sheer V sweater. I am hoping to have it done by mid-April. Easter weekend is also my birthday weekend, and I think this would be incredibly cute to wear on my birthday. and for Easter dinner. So it is April 1st. As I mentioned, my birthday is April 16th. That's when we're having family over for Easter. And yeah, we'll see if I can get it done by there. This is a 2XL. It is 250 stitches around. I finished one skein of my main yarn already. This is day 4 that I've been working on it. I haven't touched it yet today. But you know, got the ribbing done in day 1, got another 20 rows done day 2. Like, I feel like I can power through it. I just need to put the time in. But it is so soft, so lovely. This is Knit Picks Palette and Knit Picks Aloft held together, and I'm really loving this fabric. It is so soft, and the Knit Picks Aloft has just so much halo to it. It's a very fuzzy mohair. It's 72% mohair, but it seems more fuzzy than other mohair that I've used. And I just love it so much. As soon as I'm done filming, I'm gonna be knitting on this, probably for the rest of the day. Yeah, so this is my primary whip right now. It's all I'm gonna try to focus on until that Easter weekend comes around. And if I have it done, bless. And if I don't, then I'll probably start picking up my other whips again and work on those. Because once you miss a deadline, it's kind of whatever after that, right? Anyway, so that is my little update for you. I am knitting away. I am spending all my extra income on yarn, and I'm having a good time doing it all. Let me know your thoughts on my purchases. Do you like to just buy yarn because it brings you joy, or do you only buy when you have a project in mind? Maybe a little bit of both. Let me know. I love seeing people stash. I love talking about stash yarn. I just love yarn so much. I want to share it with you. I hope you've enjoyed watching this little check-in. I will probably be back again towards the end of the month, and I'm kind of keeping an open mindset for April. Wherever it takes me, it takes me. And if there are adventures, there's adventures. And if I just sit around and knit and work, that's good too. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful April if you don't hear from me for the rest of the month, and cheers. Bye, friends. Does she fit in frame? Can she stand herself? Let's find out. This is the test reel. I mean, I don't know if I want to get into that. All right, well. Okay.